And good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Talk of the Week. And in today's segment, we will be touching for the University World Championship that will be happening very, very soon. On the pod, we have got himself, the head coach, Dan, is with us, joined by his buddy, Lewis. So we will be highlighting a few of our guys that are going to University Championship, and also, of course, the guys are here. They'll be touching other nations as well. How are we doing, guys?
Yeah, good, mate. How are you?
Fantastic, fantastic. Everything is going really well. So, yeah, weekend was great. We went to the squad. Everyone had fun. We laughed, we ate, and everyone looked on form. That was great. So, how's training on your side?
Yeah, it's all right, mate. Ticking along, ticking along.
You know the reason why I ask how's training on your side, because I want people, our viewers, to understand you guys are not just coaches, because people have put a label on your faces like Lewis and Dan, and when you see Page, funny enough, I've never seen Page lift a barbell. So, since he's not on the podcast, I'm not going to talk about him. I hope he's going to hear this, but I've never seen him lift a barbell. But I've seen him loading plates though. He's amazing at that. But I've just never seen him squatting it or pulling it. So, yeah, guys, just a little bit insight on yourself in terms of like the reason I want to get this brought you guys back in the history. I just want people to know you are not just in powerlifting for yesterday or last year that you've been around. I mean, Lewis, yourself, I mean, I've known you for a very, very long time, and you have got history in university powerlifting as well. Just a little bit more about yourselves, guys, before we kick on to the championship. So let's start with Dan.
Yeah, so when did I start? When did I join powerlifting? 2017, I think was the first year I joined British powerlifting. Obviously, competed, went kind of like through the university powerlifting system that we're going to kind of talk about a little bit. Um, what's the best I've done? 720 at 93-ish. So, it's all right. It's not like, Christian's not sweating, but it's okay. And then yeah, kind of got a bit more into like the coaching end of things. Was kind of lucky enough for the Worlds in South Africa to be taken along as an assistant coach to that. Did an all right job. Got invited back to go to Euros and Worlds last year, and kind of in amongst all of that, got appointed as the university head coach. And then yeah, it's just kicked on from there really. So it's become a bit more coach heavy than lifting heavy for me. But I've been you know training's always first. You'd always rather be a lifter than a coach, but you find your mold.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned 720 as a 93. Come on, that's a nice small total. Do you know what I mean? That's decent. That is decent. So I mean, that's you qualify for the nationals. That's what matters. So that is a very good one right there. Thanks, mate. Great. Lewis, yourself, a little bit of a story about you. I know you got a massive.
Frozen.
Is it frozen? Anyone who's listening or anyone who's watching us, Lewis is just sorting out his internet. Hopefully, he has paid his broadband. Otherwise, we're going to be in trouble. So cool. Yeah. So I think it's coming back again. So that is fab. Yeah, just open the door so you can get more bandwidth.
Mate, my Wi-Fi is terrible. Sorry.
That's all right. Yeah, I was asking about a little bit of the history about you before we get to the meat of it.
So like Dan, I've been powerlifting since, actually I think before Dan started, so 2016. But like, I think the difference with me is when I started, I also started coaching as well, part of the university team. So I kind of grew in powerlifting because of Northumbria Powerlifting Club at the university there. So I kind of had the powerlifting lifting side of the athlete and the coach side. So I kind of did both the whole time when I was at university. And like Dan, I competed at the IPF University Championships twice. So I did 2017 in South Africa, 2018 in, was it Pilsen?
Pilsen, yeah. I was at that one as well, yeah.
So I did those two, and then I left university. But then since then, I've carried on lifting and coaching. And kind of coaching for me is a little bit more of a priority, I guess, because now I'm full-time doing it. But I still like to make like my own lifting a priority. But I just think for me, I just have more of an interest in the coaching side of things. Not saying that I'm not a bad lifter. I think my best total was 780 at Manchester Open as a 120. But we'll see what that goes to next year. But yeah, I've been doing it for a while. Been to a couple of international comps now. I recently went to the Junior Europeans in Budapest. Did the Worlds in Romania as part of the GB coach team there. So that was a good experience. Grateful for Jason for taking me. And also just doing stuff with Dan and Pape as well for the university team last year in Turkey, and again this year in Slovenia, which is going to be in, I think, 10 days time next week.
That's amazing to get that, especially yourself, like being in the scene of the university for this long. Because sometimes, like me personally, with the university powerlifting, I was not really inclined in terms of like knowing much about it. The first time I started hearing about it is when Nathan was talking about backs, and Dapo talking about, oh, I'm going to be lifting at backs and I'll be doing juniors, and I'm thinking, what is backs? Because I didn't know what it was. And then people started telling me, oh, this is the university powerlifting. It's just the people that are university. I was like, oh, that's interesting. My next question before actually we get to it is like, what would you guys say in terms of like where the university powerlifting was when Lewis yourself started or you joined the scene, and where it is now in terms of like the development? Because we know powerlifting is growing, right? I mean, raw powerlifting is like, if when I started in 2016 and now the standards and everything else is just nuts. So, but on the university side, the problem is like we don't know much about the university side, because there's a genius, there's a university side, and people sometimes get confused thinking, okay, what's the difference between the two? Do you know what I mean? So can you just give us a little bit of an insight on that one?
Yeah, so I think the main difference, especially if we're talking like sort of internationally, is the university staff is anyone between the ages of like 18 and up to 25 can compete there. So it kind of crosses that junior line a little bit. So you'll get people who are like first year uni, 18 years old, and people that are doing masters and postgraduate stuff, 24, 25 at these world championships. But I think the real big thing that's happened in the last couple of years, and like you said, from sort of Nathan and Ade really pushing it through, is British powerlifting and powerlifting in universities in the UK is now recognised by BUCS, like the actual company affiliation of the British University sort of board, if that makes sense. Whereas before it was something British powerlifting did off their own back. It was a comp that was run every year for students, but now it's recognised by BUCS. So universities turn up and compete in teams. Your placing earns points for your university, and that, based on how you place and how your university places, that earns BUCS points, which essentially then goes back to the university and is a kind of bargaining chip for who is the best university across all sports. So university football will earn a certain amount of BUCS points, so rugby, tennis, whatever else. So now that powerlifting is eligible to kind of contribute those points to each of the universities themselves are getting a lot more interested and looking at funding things a lot more, because there's a sort of tangible asset for them to gain by having a good powerlifting team. Whereas before it was, okay, great, your team's come first or second. Like I went to Exeter, that was my sort of starting point and where I kind of came up through the university scene, and we always had a very solid team, but the university was never really interested in us because our success gained them nothing. So I think, a lot of the hard work that Nathan has done has means a lot of universities are kind of standing up, taking notice, being a bit better with funding and facilities and things like that, which is really, really helping. And then obviously just the growth of powerlifting as a whole. There's more people coming into the sport. University is kind of a really nice kind of route into the sport from there. So it's kind of growing from both a population side of things, and actually there's some money and some funding, and the universities are a lot more interested. I don't know how it was for you, Lou, because obviously you started off even earlier than me and was going to uni worlds before I was, but I'm assuming it's probably a bit similar on your end.
It was pretty much the same. There was some support for us, but I think because we were a sport university, or they were trying to be anyway, like we got a little bit of funding, but it was literally like, I remember paying for South Africa as a student to go out there, stay, the flight, everything was well over £1,000, and they gave us £100 each. So the funding back then wasn't that much, and they kind of looked at powerlifting like a BTEC version of weightlifting, because weightlifting to them was quite good, because we had a few Olympic weightlifters there who actually went to the Olympics. Whereas powerlifting was just kind of thought of as like the sport you did if you couldn't do weightlifting, and no one really knew what it was then. And I remember even going to the gym at uni, and like you wouldn't really see anyone do squat, bench, and deadlift. It was never really a thing back then. Whereas now it's obviously a big, massive thing. You go into any gym anywhere, and you'll see people with like SBD sleeves, SBD belts, all these kind of things. Whereas before, back in 2016, 2017, when we were doing it at any university gym, there was never that before. So I think as a whole, like the university scene has grown exponentially compared to what it was. And the standard has obviously gone through the roof as well. Because back when I first did my first ever bucks, the same year as Dan, 2017, there was no QT, there was no entry point. So like anyone could do it. Like you just turn up on the day and you could total like 100 kilos. If you had a singlet, and that's all you really need is some footwear, you can go lift for university. Whereas now things it's come to that point where having the introduction of the bucks points and the bucks system for university is allowing that to be a bit more of a gateway into national level powerlifting for those that can't get totals for like open nationals or junior nationals. They can now do the university nationals, so it's a bit more of a taster for that. But it's definitely grown a lot, and it's completely different to when I did it like 7 years ago or 6-7 years ago.
So would you probably say like the structure has almost helped the sport in that context, in terms of like giving it the light, and also giving it almost like the legitimacy of, as you said, these nationals, and getting that qualified and just going to university national? Because everything is like, even British powerlifting, I think I've been banging on this for years, is the structure is the main thing that actually hold the sport or hold any business together. If that structure is not actually supported, everything will crumble. You know what I mean? And you guys, you're close to the university, and now, especially what you, Lou, what you said there, I can easily say, there's more structure into it now, rather than what you guys had before, which is great. Guys, the next step is, like, again, as I said, we'll be moving to the championship itself that is happening. Don't hold me into this. I have no idea where the championship is gonna happen. See, this is what I'm saying. Like, not everybody knows about this. I have no idea where, what location.
It's out in Slovenia. It's actually in a really nice place. It's in like what looks like a ski resort. It's about half an hour away from Lake Bled, if you know where that is in Slovenia. So yeah, we're quite lucky actually that they put together like what seems like a nice like sort of venue and location. And when's the first day of championships? The 30th of October?
23rd. 21st, I think.
31st.
31st, yeah. So would you guys be there for the whole 5 days? Is it 5 days? It's 5 days, right?
Yeah.
31st, 34th. Yeah. Would you be there for the whole 5 days?
Yeah, we'll be out there. So we've got, I want to say it's 29 lifters going out there from the British team, all in all. So this is another big thing that changed sort of from when me and Lou were in that university scene as lifters versus now. So it used to be that it was a team event. So the 5 best universities could send 8 people each. So you would have 40 sort of lifters from UK universities per gender. Whereas now the rule is going to change that you can take 2 per weight class across the board. So you can have a maximum of 16 across the board. So it's kind of changed now that your top 2 lifters at Bucks and your best 2 lifters at Bucks are the ones that get the first sort of tabs and first sort of selection, like they're selected first essentially. So with that, we kind of, British Powerlifting decided to kind of put together a central coaching team, because when I went across and when Lou went across, the universities just sorted themselves out and it was like a free for all. So now there's ourselves and there's I think we're taking out a coaching team of around 8-9 people, and we'll all be out there across the full 5 days with the lifters. So yeah, that's exciting. But yeah, we'll be out there the whole time.
That's great. I mean, again, the number of coaching you're talking about there, with the number of lifters you have, pretty much you have the support there. Everyone that need a rest and all of that stuff. Let's just talk about. Let's start with the men divisions. So the divisions, again, it works just like any other IPF weight class in terms from the 59s all the way to the 120 plus. Let's start with the 59s. I know we have got Matt Chan in the 59s. As you mentioned, there are 2 two lifters in your weight class, two best lifters. That's what I need to take. So I'm curious, why do we only have one lifter in under 59s here instead of the two?
The guy who came first has gone up to 66s, and I believe there was only two people that actually did bucks as 59s. So Channy was kind of the only one left. So yeah, because Channy's one of my lifters. Actually, he's an ex-lifter. I actually coach him personally. So yeah, it's gonna be good for him. He's had a few he had a little bit of a back injury that's taken a while to settle down, but he's actually kind of found some form and found some strength. Pretty in a nice time really. So he should come in nice and strong. But it's really good for him as someone who kind of hasn't had that exposure to an international platform. The other guys in the 59s are like seasoned international competitors. Like the guy who was nominated in first from Czechia, it's his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like sixth international, things like that, like really like good level seasoned IPF lifters. So just a chance for him to go out there and kind of rub shoulders with someone like that in the same weight class as him is going to be like a really valuable experience. And that's kind of going to be a similar story across the board for a lot of these lifters, I think. A lot of them, I mean, almost all of them, it's their first taste at international competition, which is kind of the cool thing about this setup, is the fact that we get to give people that first kind of dip their toe into what's an international like, the difference in the reffing standards and the travel and all these things that people talk about, they get to experience firsthand.
I agree, because again, I think goes back, it stems to this year, or the structure of some of the international. I mean, I was so excited to see the Western Euro coming back for us in the open divisions. It's just like to give people that experience of an international, because you take a lifter to World for the first time, they've never been there, things might be different. But if they've done the Western Euro, they've done the Euros and all of that stuff, and then you take them to World, they think, oh, look, I've been here, I know how it feels. And these guys are the same thing you said there, getting that experience. When these guys get to the teams like where we are now in the open teams or whatever, and they will have that experience in the pocket, which is great. And I'm just going to move to Lou in terms of the 66 here. So we have got two there. How much do you know about these two that we have?
I don't actually know enough about these at all. The only thing I do know about the 66 is the lad who won it. And it's kind of like a similar story through all of like the nominations we had for the people we're going to take. A lot of them did bucks and juniors. So it was quite difficult and because of the scheduling of the calendar this year, when you had like Euros last week and then Junior Worlds like 5 weeks ago, and then you've now got Uni Worlds next week, there's a lot of these guys had to choose between these comps and then where they wanted to kind of go. So because of the selection process for the junior lot, we kind of had to lose a lot of the guys that come first or second in their weight classes.
All right,
yeah. So that was Benedict Grant, who he won Euros last week. So then we ended up taking Serjan and Pri. I actually don't know much about them. I don't know whether Dan does, because he's probably had more comms with them than I have.
Not massively, to be honest. I know obviously Serjan's coached by Pate. But yeah, this is it. Like the boys who have come in, a lot of them, and we'll talk about it a bit more when we get to the 74s, because that kind of got completely flipped on its head by international selection. We kind of made a bit of we made a bit of a judgment call in the fact that we probably weren't going to invite anyone who had been named on the Junior Worlds or Euros team, because we almost want, the way I see this team is I want it to act as a feeder to the junior team, much like how the Western Euros is working for the Open team. I want it to be similar to that. I want it to take these people who, are probably coming 4th, 5th, 6th at juniors. They're not quite breaking into that junior team. But can we then take them away, give them a taste of international competition, build their confidence, build their experience, and go from there?
So what you just said, like, just a follow up on that one before you elaborate. Because you said you want to be a feeder to the junior team with this team. That's what you're trying to create. Do you have a relationship between what you're doing and the university themselves? Because remember in the past you mentioned yourself, university were organizing these things themselves. But now we have got a whole coach, which is yourself. Do you have much collaboration between you and these universities?
More the individual athletes themselves, to be fair. Because I think most of the times the athletes they've got their own coach, they've got their own setup. They're not like managed centrally by whoever is the captain or the president of their university team, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I've got some really good links with Exeter just from being there, but actually how we've done it this time is we've dealt kind of with the athletes one-to-one, and obviously if they've got their own coaches and things like that, we talk to them much how it would be with any other international, to be fair.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say I have any strong links outside of Exeter just because that's where I graduated from with any of the unis. I don't know if you feel the same about that, Lou, but
no, same as you, mate. It's kind of different. It's pretty much like how a junior or an open championship would work. We kind of just like, we don't link up with universities directly or their coaching teams. It's more just the individual lifters coming to us when they qualify. But I think some universities, like Dan used to work with University of Exeter. I know Pape used to work with one of the unis, and a couple of other coaches that we know personally do a little bit from other universities for their teams. So they kind of then might have them under their like sort of programming or coaching umbrella. But a lot of these guys are like at this kind of like the top end level of the university teams are more individual coaches, and then we'll liaise with them separately rather than going through the universities themselves.
All right. So these guys, when they come to the team, for instance, Dan, so when someone comes from Exeter University, because there's no link between you and the university, so the individual themselves present themselves to you guys that I want to be representing Exeter University, or is it something
well,
that
so how it
you
will
pick
be
because that's
is,
where they're from? God.
we get essentially we're allowed to have 2 people per weight class, so we can have a total of 16 across all the weight classes. So the default position is whoever comes first or second gets an invite for the most part. So we were kind of in the same way that you would get an email when you've been selected for the open team, be, you know, dear lifter, congratulations, based on your performance, you've been selected. And then it kind of goes through the whole process of, okay, are you going to juniors? Are you going to be on junior Euros, junior worlds team? Can you afford to go? Do you want to go? Are you moving up a weight class? Yada, yada, yada. So for that reason, people kind of filter through, and you end up maybe like selecting people that come 4th or 5th at Bucks because top 2 are going to juniors, or they don't want to go for whatever reason, you know. So it's more, it's you know, you come top 2, you are invited. It's not so much that people put themselves forward, if that makes sense. Like you have to place at Bucks to be selected, essentially.
All right. Okay. On that note, let's move to the 74s. You mentioned there, this is probably an example of how your selection was a little bit, can it be explained a little bit better here on the 74? What's the story here?
So, I mean, what kind of happened was the top 2 guys who placed first and second at Bucks both ended up going to either Junior Worlds or Junior Euros. And I believe Nathan McDowell, who was in Budapest just gone, was down as a reserve. So he was initially in this team and planning to go to Slovenia. Jason then called him up for the European team, and we had to kind of make a last minute swap. So Adam Essex came third at Bucks, so he was kind of the first reserve from those 2, if that makes sense. And then Connor Eade, who's University of Chichester, who's kind of nominated in 6th. We pulled him in fairly last minute, and you almost have to do like a bit of a hurried message, just be like, "Hi mate, you've been selected. Nominations close in like a week and a half. I need like this form, this form, this form, and everything's sent to me pretty sharpish if you need to make it into nominations." So yeah, so it transpires that the 274s we've taken to this championship came 3rd and 4th at Bucks because the first 2 were selected for juniors.
But the 3rd and 4th as well. I mean, again, when the top 2 have been selected, the 3rd and 4th is not a bad choice in terms of like where the team should be. You know what I mean? You're still taking quality 74s in the country, you know, in terms of university level to take them with you. In terms of like the championship themselves, there I can see there the French are really, really dominant. What's surprising to me in the 74s, I see they have nominated 3 74s. How is that possible if you can only nominate 2 every single weight class?
So this is where it's gotten a little bit awkward this year. So the university powerlifting is now covered by FISU, which is like the World University board for every sport. They run like the FISU games every 2 years, and it's like a mini Olympics style thing. And last minute for this competition, they basically turned around and said, any amount of university, any university can send up to 8 lifters per university, and anyone can rock up and go. We kind of turned around and said, one, because of the size of Bucks, if we allow that to happen, there could be about 200 plus British lifters turning up, and it would ruin the entire comp. And two, every other year, University Worlds is being run by FISU, and FISU have that rule of the 2 per weight class. So I kind of, alongside Nathan, who is, our kind of Bucks share, if you will, that we would kind of stick to the FISU rules every year, just to give lifters some kind of consistency and like a stable goalpost to aim for, because it's 1 year is a FISU year, then the next year it's being run by the IPF, and they're alternating like that. So we thought, for the sake of allowing people to have a kind of consistent target to aim for, we would run every year based on the FISU criteria. But the French have decided not to, and they've chucked as many people in as they wanted.
All I'm seeing, literally, like, I was looking at the nomination, all I saw is the French flag everywhere. I said, this might just be, it might just be a French national. Do you know what I mean? So, you know what you said there, like, this is probably for Lou here. Using that method of 2 every single class, don't you guys, I mean, especially the reason I'm asking this question, because you've been there, right? You've been there, you've done this before, and Lou yourself, you've done this championship before. Do you think that's unfair on those other lifters not to be given the opportunity?
I don't think it is, because the problem we would have, now we've got a centralized coaching team, you would then have up to, unlimited amount of units, unlimited amount of lifters. We could end up having 100 odd people being like coached and manned by us 8 people. And if we want to make it consistent from year to year, like Dan was saying, and to give them them goalposts and them goal targets to kind of aim for the Bucks championship each year, it makes more sense to us in our brains anyway, that to have that consistency of taking the 2 per weight class. Otherwise, it becomes a massive workload for us. And then every other year, we're going to end up taking like more coaches, or we might not even go. And it might be the universities take their coaches. And then you create this massive imbalance every other year of, right, what year is it? Is it a FISU year, or is it a University Cup year? So are we going to go as a coaching team, or is a bunch of university coaches going to go and they're going to man their teams? And I think on the flip side of that as well, if like we who have been before don't go, and other university coaches go who have never been to an international championships before, they might not know how it runs, how the admin stuff works, or the accreditations, or the technical meetings. There's a lot of other things that go into it rather than just going to handle the lifter. And as you well know, competing and handling an international comp is completely different from doing a regional or a nationals. So I think you need to have some sort of experience there. And we did ponder and think about it, like, would it work if, say, me, Dan, and Ben Pape went as like the head coach team, I guess, and then have these sort of sub coaches underneath where they are the university coaches for their uni lifters. But I think because of the mass amount of volume of lifters that were going to go, it was just too difficult to manage for us. It was just way too difficult to have up to almost 150 odd lifters going, where you're taking half of the Bucks championships lifters going in the end, and it being completely dominated by Britain. And we kind of just sat down and we spoke to the CEO at the time as well, no, Dan did, and was like, does it make more sense to have this same structure every single year that aligns with the FISU ruling, and to have the lifters say, right, I need to place first or second at Bucks to guarantee my spot, or I need to do really well and come 3rd or 4th or 5th or whatever it might be, because then they might not go, I might go. So I think I get when people might say it might be a little bit unfair, and I can appreciate it from an administration point of view and a logistics point of view as well. It makes more sense to have this sort of structure in place. Otherwise, it could have just been a complete mess, and you end up taking 200 people or whatever it might have been to a championships, and then us 3, or mostly Dan, would have had to kind of like manage that. It would have just been too difficult.
I think it waters down the quality of the actual University Cup itself, and that's not to throw shade at anyone and say that you're not strong enough to be there or whatever, but it is like, it's an international comp, and as a uni student, speaking in purely university terms, that's the highest level that you can get to. So I think the message being, oh, well, if you turned up to Bucks and your uni fancies it, then you can turn up and do uni worlds. I don't think it sends the right message. We want it to be competitive. We want it to be the highest level of competitors and students we can put forward, and make make that event a showcase and show off our best lifters instead of just chucking in whoever fancies going, and that might sound harsh and maybe people might not like that, but I think, there has to be some kind of cutoff, and there has to be some kind of, it has to be based on merit to some extent.
And I think that when we went as well, you had the top 5 uni teams, so it literally the top 5 teams of 8 lifters, whereas we were told this year it can be an unlimited amount of teams with an unlimited amount of lifters or whatever it is. So before, like, it was like literally 40 men and women depending on what university qualified, so it was based on university team points. So if you're, I don't know, 8 best lifters added up, I think when we did it was on Wilks, so they add up the Wilks points of each lifter, and that's when the university would place. So for example, like my university, I think we come second one year, so then we could take 8 lifters. But then when we took those 8 lifters, you had the people that were like the top half of the team were quite good, and like at that point even a 350 to 400 Wilks was deemed as decent like 6 years ago. But then we were taking people with like a 200 Wilks, and it was kind of like they're not going to place or get any team scoring system for us anyway if we go, because I can't remember how it worked back then, but like if they were under a certain level, like we weren't going to get points for our university. So it was kind of like as harsh as it sounds, like there was no point taking them because they was ranked so low. So in terms of team scoring as well, like they wouldn't have added anything to the team. So we could have took 4 people instead of the 8 people, and those 4 people would have scored points regardless of how many went.
That makes sense. That's clear. And Dan, this is again, like, the reason I'm touching this is because I'm really a strong advocate when it comes to communication across the board, right? I had my issues with a lot of people when information was not communicated on time or when everything was delayed. Is this something is clearly stated for these guys to be aware what is the structure? The reason I'm asking this because there are people out there that are thinking, oh, why do we have 8 French while I could have gone? But I was not told how the selection is done. Is this clearly stated for these guys to be aware and know this somewhere?
So it was very difficult this year because it kept changing. So this event was really late on the calendar, and then it was put out, and it was really up in the air as to, was it going to be the 2 weight class rule? Was it going to be this rule? Was it going to be the 5 unis rule? And what was really frustrating was that whole confusion fell kind of perfectly in the week of Bucks. So people were going out onto the platform at Bucks and they had no fucking idea what they had to do to go to Uni Worlds, which I found really frustrating. And I found difficult because I was telling people one thing, then it was changing, then it wasn't. So that was a big motivating force into why we put why we're using the FISU rules the full time, is essentially so it isn't changing, so there isn't confusion and people know. Going into next year, where it is a FISU run competition, there's even more sort of stipulations on it. So for the FISU competitions, you have to actually be a national of the country that you go to university in to compete. So you have to be a British national to go be on that team. That's one of the FISU criteria. So I'm in the process anyway of making like a flow sheet essentially for lifters going into Bucks next year, which is, did you place first or second? Are you between the right ages? Are you a British national? Has this happened? Has that happened? So it should be it should be much clearer than it was this year. But no, I agree. The communication is key, and people need to walk out onto the platform and know what they need to do to qualify. Because if you think, oh, I can pull this deadlift and come second, or I can pull this and come third, and I don't know what to do, and am I going to go if I come second? Am I not? Like things like that. You need to go into that because that's going to impact decisions you make on the day as well. So yeah, next year with the FISU criteria, there'll be a clear sort of flow sheet almost put out as early as possible, essentially, with what people are going to have to do and how they kind of go through the process of being selected.
Yeah, I agree. On that. That's great. That's fantastic. Yeah, let's move on now to the 83. We have got Manson in there and also Antoine Damon. The name sounds really, really, really familiar to me. So it's like this name I've heard before. So guys, a little bit more information on them for our viewers.
Do you want to go, Lou, or should I?
I can go if you want. So Anton was on the junior team last year. I think he was it 74s he was, and then went up to the 83s.
And I think he's aged out as well, hasn't he, the juniors now?
Yeah, so he's a really strong lifter. He's done internationals before. He kind of knows what the score is. His training looks quite good at the moment from what I've seen on Instagram. So I think he's coached by Seppi nowadays. So his progress looks like it's coming along quite nicely. So he should be up there for placing quite well in the 83s. And also Manson, I think he is a self-coached lifter, but he seems to have made a lot of progress recently. So I'm sure, even though he's nominated 6th, we could be seeing him well in like contention for podium. So there's been a lot of progress made from both of them. So I think the nominations, even though they are 3rd and 6th at the moment, we could probably see both of them or one or the other quite high up on the podium.
I think Manson's recently started working with Tom Knapp. Don't quote me on that. I might not be right. I've chatted to him because I'm handling him on the day. So we've had a bit of back and forth. And the 680 total you see on nominations that is from Bucks last year. I don't want to give up to the goose too much, but he has totaled a lot more than that. He did into regionals this year. He was way beyond that. He's looking really, really strong. He will probably challenge for 2nd, 3rd between him and Antoine. It's going to be up there. The French have decided to slap Guillaume in the 83s, and I don't know. He was at the Arnold's that you did.
I think this is the story. This is the story that I'm seeing, right? I think that Tony Cliff and Bob Matthews story. I don't know if you guys look at the Instagram story when Cliff TC called him, said a failed 105 in USAPL, now he's coming here to make noise. So this is exactly the same story I'm seeing here. I'm not calling Guillaume a failed, but he's tried to qualify for the French team, senior team, for so many times. He can't get there, and they just fucking slot him here. Literally. Literally, when I saw his name, I was like, hang on.
Was he the one who had the bar fall off his back at the Arnold?
Yes, that was him. Yeah.
So I was, he was at the Arnold. I was with him as silent worker. The thing is with him, I always say, like, he's a very strong kid. Don't get me wrong, right? I mean, you want people lift weight and all of that stuff. You can't deny, as Indy will say, weight is absolute. You can't just make up numbers to put on a bar and then someone lift it. The thing is that the problem he has is he does not lift to standard. And when you don't lift to standard, I know these are the university guys. Some of them are young, some of them are junior. They will be listening to this. If you don't lift to standards on your training or in your gym, some of us in your garage, the same experience will happen on the platform where you will struggle. And sometimes you start calling, oh, they don't like me or this and that. People got something against me. No, mate, all your squats are never to standard. And then I'm talking like this. I'm a big squatter, and I've been a victim of that because sometimes in training, I used to lift and thinking, oh, that squat was in. No, it was not in. And then when I went to international, I suffered from it many, many, many times. So they go to just lift the standards. This is not a shot at Guillaume here. I'm just saying, like, this is another Tony Cliff story. So they just slot him here. Anyway, carry on. Go on.
No, it's a good point though, because I think as well, like, what people need to realize is, like, yes, it's the university championship. Yes, it's not IPF Worlds. It's not Euros. It's not whatever. It's the same referees that go to these competitions. You will be being reffed by the same people that will have reffed you at Worlds, Jurins, or will have reffed Indy or any of the GB team that went to Worlds. It's the same referees. There's a group of refs that are at every single comp. You will be held to the same standards regardless. Like, it's IPF reffing for a reason, and that's what makes the standards so much more important as well going into a comp like this. There's that kind of step up between, people talk about the step up in reffing standards between regional and national comps, and then there's another step up, really, isn't there, between national and international.
I agree. I mean, you was there in the Euros last year. I mean, how many bombed out? We're talking about we're not talking about novice. We're talking about world-class lifters, people that potentially can win world in every single year, but they fucking bombed out.
Mate, I remember in the 93s, like, a bit of a tangent. I was handling Christian, and against Christian there was Gustav, there was Emil Krastev, there was Sasha as well, and after 2 squats, none of them had a squat on the board. And I was like, fuck me, we're going to win. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, the top three are just going to bomb out because they've all spotted high. And I was like, Christian, you're literally going to win because everyone in front of you is just going to bomb. And then obviously only Emil ended up bombing and Christian came second. And that's a whole story for a different day. But yeah, it's mad.
This standard is the next level. But again, on two boys here in the 83, again, as you guys said, of course, you're not going to give all the juicy info, but all they need to do is make sure they just need to deliver what they need to do on their side. Even though Guillaume is nominated, it looks literally quite far ahead of everybody else in terms of like the total, the nomination. Yeah. But yeah, in these things, anything can happen, guys. You know what I mean? Antoine and Manson they just need to do their job. And you are the head coach, you just need to put the round numbers on the bar. And you never know. You know what I mean? Anything is possible there. So yeah, moving on to the 93. This is actually interesting. So we can actually stay here and talk about the 93 with a smile. So we have got the top two Brits. So yeah, I'm going to open the floor to two of you guys in terms of like, how do you guys think about the class itself? And also, talking about it, there is a guy nominated in 14 from Mexico. Again, the reason I mentioned this is because for the listeners and the viewers to realize this is not just an European championship. I know we've been talking about the Brits and the French, slotting a lot of people. This is the world championship. So you can see people from Japan, Mexico, University of Belgrade in is that Slovakia, right? Am I right?
Yeah, that's Serbia.
Serbia, sorry. So all these guys coming in. It's a proper world championship here. So yeah, let's talk about the 93 guys. Any intake from our boys?
Go on,
then. So Aaron won by quite a mile at the Bucks this year. You can obviously see his totals like 30 kilo more than Cyrus's, but he did the ABS comp recently, and I don't think he did as well because I was there watching it. So I don't think his numbers were that good there, but he is a really, really strong kid. Like he's super strong. He's got a massive squat. You can see he squats up 293. I think that was the Bucks record at the time, which he took off Cyrus. I think Cyrus got it, and then Aaron got it back after. So both these guys are super, super strong squatters. They're both really good deadlifters. So I think it might be closer on the day compared to what the nominations might suggest. Cyrus has done it before. Did he win 93s last year, Dan, or was he come second?
I want to say he came second. I might be wrong, but yes. So Cyrus was out in Turkey last year. Yeah, he did come second. I just checked. He was out at the University Cup in Turkey with us last year, put in a really good showing. So like he's got that. He's got that under his belt. He knows what it's going to be like. Aaron is a very strong lifter, and like you say, like on his day is the stronger of the two. But he also competes a lot. Like he does a lot of comps a year. Like he was at British Seniors, he was at Bucks, he's done the ABS comp, he's now got this. There might even be another one in there somewhere as well. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see. But yeah,
just a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit on Cyrus. Like, funny enough, is because again, I'm a powerlifter. I love powerlifting. I watch anything. Right? I mean, today I was just watching Girls Power in bloody France. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, when I see a meet, I'm just interested just to watch it. So yeah, Bobby did amazing as well. So I think she hit 182 squat. And funny enough, she pulled the same as her squat. I need to have a word with her next time I see her. But so yeah. And yeah, I watch anything. So Cyrus is someone that when I watched the backs, it was like the name just sounds so good. That name, Cyrus. Because I have a friend that is actually named Cyrus. So yeah, I saw the squats, these guys, like his squat was tremendous. Again, 293 from Aaron. And the British record is all what? I think it's 303, isn't it?
3, isn't it? James Adcock.
James. So that is pretty much no safe. Because if Aaron comes in very healthy, so that can be on the card. Well, I'm not talking about he's going to go and score 303 at World. I'm talking about 305 that can take the British record. That could be a target there. But it's really interesting to see again these numbers just on the university championship alone in 93, 770. Again, as you guys are saying, it's a strong kid. So yeah, that's very encouraging. So moving on to the 105s, again, we have got two boys there that nominated on the top 5. We have got Joe Moore and Jonathan, again, great, strong kids. So, guys, any intake on them?
Dan, you can.
I mean, they're both looking really, really strong. JJ, I actually don't know what he's doing in training because every SVD day he's done in the lead up to the comp, he's like put some kind of emoji or something over the weight and like tracked the emoji over the bar the entire time so you can't see the plates. And I know Martin's handling him, so Martin will know what his numbers are and what's going on. But he looks very strong. Whatever the weight is on the bar is moving well. So I think that is all that can be said. And Joe, again, Joe is another one who's one of Pate's lifters, been coached by him for a while, I believe. And he's looking really strong as well, like big deadlifter, will be in around there for the medals in deadlifts and things like that. So yeah, again, like really nice to have third and fourth there, both kind of nipping at the heels a second. The Turkish lad in first is miles ahead. He was there last year as well, and he is a bit of a unit. But yeah, again, it's going to be two potential podiums there that we're looking at.
So the Turkish lad, we could say the total is legit, right?
Yeah. So he was there last year, wasn't he? Because he won by.
He was there, yeah, but I want to say that last year his nominated total was like 860 or something ridiculous, and then he turned up and did
he done 827.5 last year, so it's not a million miles.
No, that was in Malta. He did 807 at the unis last year.
Is this turning up to that kid from Austria, that 93 kid in Austria that turned up at the Euro this year? That people were saying like, oh yeah, this is he one of 5 kids? They sub junior, 17 years old. Yeah. When people were saying, oh, he's going to total 950, and the kid can't even get 820.
Yeah, he doesn't lift the standard. He went 4 for 9 at both comps.
Oh God, unbelievable. Anyway, great. Again, it's like our guys again. It's like just do the job, guys, and you never know on the day, because even though that 848 looks chunky, but anyway, we never know. Just do the job well.
Know.
And yeah, moving on to the 120 under 120, we have got 2 lifters. Noah is nominated 2nd, and Jack is 5th. Again, when you see that 2nd, mate, look at that squat. That score is lovely. 280 score is just, you know what I mean? You got that 5 raids, you add a 2.5 and a collar. Oh, he's not given to anybody. So anyway, no offense to you two guys. You'll get it one day.
I've got it. I've done it.
Oh yeah, it's true. Lewis has done it. So yeah, no offense to you, Dan.
Anyway. Lewis was out-squatted by me for the longest time. Right, for a man whose Instagram bio is about his quads, to be out-squatted by me for a very long time. So I'm happy for you, Lewis. I'm happy for you, mate.
It's irrelevant.
He had to quit his job, basically be a full-time athlete, and go up like 4 weight classes.
Just for you. Oh, hold on. When you say you've done it, it's because you've gone way high up. You've increased your weight because you've gone fat. For you to have done it.
I'm tall. I am not short like that. I'm well over 6 foot. I have a long way to move.
Oh, great. So yeah, guys, any insight on these 2 guys? Again, especially Noah nominating 2nd there. I'm thinking, why can't he win it?
Noah's one of yours, any less.
Yeah, so I coach Noah. Noah's not a 120 whatsoever. He literally weighs 160 kilos. He can't put weight on. He's taller than me. He's probably around 6'3"-ish. He's way too light for his weight class. He weighed in at 105 point something at Bucks whilst wearing, I think he downed like a litre of water before we went to weigh in. He has this issue where every single comp prep, and it's the same now, he gets sick. So literally 3 days ago, he's had a stomach virus, can't eat anything. He's lost like 2-3 kilos. He just seems to have a problem with gaining weight a little bit. It's a bit of a conversation we need to have up for after. But for a kid like that height, being that lean and kind of like that body weight for how tall he is, his numbers are really good, and he's going to make a lot of progress there. He should be looking at around the 750 to 760 range. But for a 120, like, he needs to be a lot heavier. Like he's too light. But
he's worried about making weight the other way, isn't he? He's worried about making it into the class, not under.
So I think the morning of Bucks, he weighed in like 104 point something. So he literally had a litre of water down that, weighed in at 105 point whatever it was, just to compete as a 120. Because we made the strategic thing to go as the 120, because I think for the nominations he was looking good for Bucks to kind of win the 120s. So that's kind of the route we went down. He ended up, did he? I can't remember if he won it now or if he comes. I should probably know that. But anyway, yeah, I should know that. He did really well. He did really well either way. But he's looking quite good. He might be a little bit of a stretch to kind of get past the Ivan guy. But again, it, like as you know, Jurins, it depends on who turns up on the day.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. I mean, when your nomination is right, that top 5 or whatever, it means you just have to do the job. Do you know what I mean? You do the job, and I've seen people nominated 5th and win. Some of us were nominated 2nd award, we end up being 6th. So do you know what I mean? Shit like that happens. So you just come in. See, I do literally like throw a shot at myself. Don't worry, guys. I don't just let people do that. So yeah. I mean, yeah, interesting. Again, with Jack, they nominated with 722. If you think about, he's nominated with 722. He nominated what? 5th.
Yeah.
Up to Noah, it's 735.
That's a 105 total as well. So Jack was a 105 at Bucks as well. So it transpired with that Jack. So in the 120s, Lewis Kelly won. I've just remembered Lewis. So
yeah,
Lewis Kelly won. Noah came second. Obviously, Lewis ended up going to Worlds and Junior Worlds and Euros, so he wasn't selected. So then we had Noah, but then actually Jack, who I believe came third in the 105s, ended up out totaling the third place 120. So we offered that spot as a 120 to Jack first of all, and I was kind of like, "Would you be happy to go up?" And he was more than happy to do that. So again, that total of 722 is a 105 kilo total.
So that's really sauce there. That's a sauce there, because if that's a 105 total, you give someone another 5-10 kilo body weight if he doesn't want to get like Lewis, but still you can add a lot of weight in that, a lot of weight. And I'm surprised how Lewis, you said Noah can't gain weight. Look, I can't talk when it comes to gaining weight. I can't talk. But however, I can say you've moved weight class yourself over the years to, are you 120 plus now?
120.
Just asking. So yeah, you're probably 120, right? 120 now.
I'm not even 120, but I'm in that weight class. Yes.
So you're in the 120 class. Where did you start? You started on 93, isn't it? I guess.
I was a 93. Yeah, I was a 93.
See, 93. You move up like what, 2-3 weight class up. So how can't you help Miles?
Mate, I've told him all the secrets, what to do, what to drink, what to eat. He just doesn't seem to gain weight. It just seems to go the other way. It's a conversation for when this comp's done.
No, I'm not surprised. I've been there before. Anyway, let's move on to the 120 plus. So we have got Thomas. I like the name though. Yeah. Interesting name. 680. Yeah, 680. Yeah, it's Cardiff. Yeah, it's from Cardiff. So 687.5 kilo there, nominated there. Head coach. Any insight from on the side of Thomas there? How is he looking? Strong?
He's looking strong.
Healthy?
Yeah, he's looking strong. He's looking good. He's actually, this is funny because he'll kill me. He's actually not from University of Cardiff. He's from the University of Aberystwyth, but that just doesn't compute. Aberystwyth, the word, doesn't compute into good lift. Like when Will tried to put it in, it just kept booting him out. So we had to put him down as Cardiff, and we're in the process of getting it changed. But I feel like I should mention that. But no, Tom's looking decent. Like I think he'll be on for way north of 700. I think he did a Welsh competition maybe like 4-6 weeks ago. No, maybe it wasn't that soon, but he's competed since Bucks and he's looking really, really strong. But Tom had the perk of he was the only 120 plus at Bucks, so here he is essentially. But you know, he's there nominated in third. He's right in amongst it with you know the Czech lifter above him and the Turkish lifter below him for that kind of second
so with the conversation we had like from day 59 audio to the 120 plus as a head coach, right? Because this is where you have to probably play your strategic part in terms of where do you want your team to end up. So where do you see our team ending up after the championship on the men's side? Because everything we spoke here is telling me, I'm sitting here, I'm thinking top 2.
Yeah, this is the problem though is where it becomes a massive pain in the ass because they're entered in their universities. under their university, not under GB. Each university is its own team, technically. So say Channy in the 59 comes first. That's the first place for the University of Exeter, not for Great Britain. So they're all factioned up into their own universities. So you might find that some of the unis that have got like several lifters, like Loughborough, for example, might place really well, but it isn't put together by nation, which it will be next year under the FISU rules. But it's a bit of a pain because you can do a lot of good work, get people, higher up and place them higher than they've been nominated, and capitalize on other people's mistakes and do a really good job, and you don't see the fruits of that in the overall standings because it's divvied up by uni. So that's a shame.
So it goes for every single country, like the rules not just to us as Brits, everybody else.
Yeah.
So, whoa, that's even makes it even worse for me, for my brain to comprehend. So because I'm thinking like, so what you say is every single nation that sends lifters from university, they rate the university, not the nation.
Yeah. So the opening ceremony where they hand out the little plaques and there's each team is on a plaque, right?
Yeah.
There'll be a plaque for Loughborough University, there'll be a plaque for Exeter, there'll be a plaque for bloody, I don't know what other university is, Zagreb, all these other unis, they're all technically their own team. Whereas, at IPF Worlds, this is the GB plaque because it's the GB team,
Yeah.
So there's probably about 40 different teams technically under the score sheet, rule book, whatever. But obviously there's only us looking after all of them.
It's
a bit of a pain.
The only good thing for us as well is like, even though we've got a couple of guys ranked quite highly, when you like scan the nominations, especially for the men's, you haven't really got many unis that have high ranking lifters. So like you've got the University of Paris, then Nantes, and then it's literally like Stirling and Nottingham. So like a couple of these guys who might come like fifth or third or even first, you have like two of those, they actually might rank quite highly overall in the teams, just because it's kind of like set out from each country. They're kind of not, they haven't really sent university teams. They're kind of just done what we've done, but on a bigger scale, I guess. Or especially the French team, like you've got Lyon, you've got all these other universities I haven't really even heard of in France, where you, rather than having like a whole Lyon team or a whole Paris team, they haven't really done it like that. So it's a bit of a free for all. So it's kind of hard to predict on who's actually going to win the overall.
That's tough. That's very, very tough. Oh, well, that's interesting. That's another, again, going back to what we said about the structures, like one of the things that what you guys are bringing about sticking to that structure going forward is almost like bringing that organizations in our side. Because what you mentioned that every single university become like its own team, to me, is just like, so why are you all called Great Britain then? Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, it doesn't really matter. It's like us going to World and saying, oh, that's a Greater London team. Do you know what I mean? That's exactly. A Northwest
exactly
team.
What it's like.
So, because the reason I say Greater London, because Greater London were always going to win anyway in Team GB because we send more lifts than anybody else. No offense to everyone else. But anyway, moving on to the ladies' side. So again, the ladies, again, as I mentioned in the beginning, just like the IPF structure, start from the 47 all the way to the 84 plus. See, I was about to say 120 plus there. Quick question to you, Coach. Why? Because the way it's structured, is it just the open division? They don't have juniors and sub-juniors university?
No. So because the ages to be included is 18 to 25, because that crosses over that 23 barrier where you become an open lifter, it's an open format comp. So no one can go there and chip junior records, for example. You could only chip proper world records, because you'd have an advantage over someone who was 25 and not a junior and didn't have that opportunity there, if that makes sense. So it's an open format comp, and there are FISU records actually. They've implemented university world records, which they kind of decided to tell us about 3 days into the last university worlds, about halfway through the comp. It was painful. I remember because Jack Hopkins was there. I was handling Jack. He comes out for his second deadlift, and I just see like FISU record flashing on the board. I was like, what the fuck is that? And then some other guy in one of the other sessions then just tried to chip a weight that was not the world record. And I was like, boys, what's going on here? And I go to the jury and I was like, well, how are they chipping that? And they were like, oh, it's this FISU records. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. He's like, can I see them? Because I've never heard of these in my life. And he just had a go at me. He was just like, no, not right now. I'm busy. I was like, oh, okay then. I guess. And then in the end, someone showed me like there's like a web page on the EPF website that has it all. I think if you Google it, it comes up. But they were kind of invented halfway through Turkey last year, I want to say.
Very interesting. That's more about how organized RPS are nowadays. So
Yeah.
very interesting. So again, yeah, I think to me it's not such a bad idea to have those records, because you almost give the guys the incentive to push something, right? Because let's not beat around the bushes here. The real world records at the IPF for you to university student to go there, it just it's just ridiculous to see like Indy has against 386.5 kilo. Anyone from university to pull that, Jesus. Do you know what I mean?
But the 120 deadlift record is 317.5. So it's not
for the
So the 120 is through what?
So the 120 deadlift record for the FISU records is 317.5.
Interesting. That's really good. That's really nice. So yeah, that's something. That's an about.
Such a dickhead,
guys. I'm not going hell with you guys. I made peace with God today. No way. I'm going heaven. That's very good, guys. Do you know what I mean? What's the 317.5 as a 120? Yeah, interesting. So if they're juniors and the young, of course, but if they're 25, for you to go and pull for 17, mate, you might just go stay home. Anyway, moving on to the ladies.
Yeah. What's Lewis? What's your deadlift, mate?
We don't talk about that, mate. Let's move on.
Hold on, Lewis. You gave me 317.5 and FISU world record or whatever, and you have not pulled 317 yet.
Hey, I was making the comparison for Indiraj for you, and you've just absolutely rinsed me. So let's move on.
So you I forgot that you're 120 as well. Sorry, mate. Sorry. Let's move on to the lady, guys. In the 47, we have I hope I'm going to say her name right. Gwen.
Yeah.
She's from the University of Oxford. She's nominated with 287.5 kilo as the second. How is she looking right now in terms of like her training leading to this?
She's looking all right. I mean, so the thing is with Gwen, it's going to be her third comp. So she literally last year did Oxford versus Cambridge varsity to qualify for Bucks. Turned up to Bucks, and I believe she was the only 47 there. Yeah, she was.
Yeah, she was.
And next thing you know, she's found herself, on an IPF platform. So
that's a dream.
It's a real, it's like a hell of a year of starting powerlifting, isn't it? It's like do 2 comps, win Bucks, Slovenia at Uni Worlds. So it's going to be good. It's going to be good for her. I can't actually remember who's handling her off the top of my head. I want to say it's Jane, but yeah, I haven't. I think it's Jane. I haven't spoken to her a great deal, but I think it's just going to be, again, it's just managing that, isn't it? Like, it might almost work in her favor that she's only done 3 comps. It kind of is a bit less scary then, if you've done 6, 7, 8 comps, you've really plugged away at it. You're like, and you think, God, this is maybe my one chance to step on an IPF platform. It becomes like a big, oh shit thing. But you've been powerlifting for a year and you're obviously good at it and you found yourself in this situation. It's just like any other comp, really.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
It's just about managing her and her expectations and her confidence on the day. But I'm sure she'll smash it. I'm sure it'll be fine.
What a year is it going to be like? You win, but you do your university, win that, you qualify, you come to Bucks, you win, and she's going to World. She's nominated second.
Yeah,
mate, that's a dream. And that second, anything can happen, and you win, mate. You might just retire. That's it. No one can beat that record. You retire, no one will beat that record.
Yeah, and for her as well, like it's going to be the first time she's actually had any competition. Because like the Oxford Cambridge varsity, I'm just looking on Open IPF now. She's the only 47. Bucks, she's the only 47. And now she's in against a Mexican, a Polish, and an Indian girl. It's going to be a very interesting. It's going to be a very different experience for her. But I'm sure it's
great.
It's a nice way to start.
That's good. That's what you want. That's what you want. You want people to get that experience, like even though they were not thinking or no dreaming of it, just come there and yeah, you see how they fare. So great. Moving on to the 52s again, we got two ladies there. We got Emily and I don't want to butcher her name, but just gonna say her last name, first name, which is Long. Did I say that right?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, I'm handling
Oh,
it.
cool. Go
Emily's
on,
got
sir.
Emily's got a pretty similar story to Gwen. She literally started powerlifting this year. So she did a qualifier, did bucks, I think did juniors, and is now doing uni worlds. So same as Gwen, like she's literally started it and now she's nominated second at University Worlds in Slovenia. So for her, it's going to be a similar story to Gwen. It's just how they kind of like manage the difference from the regional up to the international. But they've only been it for a short period of time. So like they don't know, I guess like what the standards might be at the international compared to regional. So for them,
Yeah.
their mindset might be a bit different. They might not be as nervous. They might just go out and have fun. And I think she had a bit more competition at unis this year. I think there was quite a few 52s down. Am I right?
Yeah, 52s was a bit of a weird one. I want to say the girl who was nominated first bombed out, and then they both kind of found themselves in a position to kind of go for
Yeah,
to
two
go
bombs.
for the win on it. Yeah,
Yeah.
two. Oh, yeah, two. I knew a lot did, but yeah. And this is the thing. Long, who she goes by Rhonda, so we'll just call her Rhonda because I think that's what she prefers. She's in the exact same boat. She's 18. She's done two comps. She's about to sell the uni worlds. Like these the three kind of lightweight girls have really found themselves all in a very similar story in the same boat. So it's going to be nice. They probably bounce off each other quite a lot, I'd imagine. They're all in the same boat, all going through the exact same sort of experience, and they'll be able to kind of use that with each other, to make sure that each other's looked after. So it's good. It's nice that they're in a similar situation.
Yeah. I mean, me from experience, right? I think to me, if you ask me, when was powerlifting really enjoyable for me? I would say the first few comp are done
Yeah.
because those comp is there's no expectation, right? I think my first British was in 2016. That was my second comp. I bombed out. I came out of competition. I didn't even know what bombing out is. I was like, look, I wasn't strong enough. I was laughing. But today, when you look at my record, it's there. It's still embarrassing, but I don't care. That day, if you ask me how did you feel, I felt great. I was injured. People tell me not to go and lift, but I said, no, no, no. But Owen is going to be at the British. Bedford was going to be at the British. This is probably the last chance for me. I have the only chance I'm going to be lifting on the same platform with Owen Hubbard and Bedford. I'm going. I don't give a fuck. And I went there, I bought out. But still, I enjoyed it because do you know what I mean?
Well,
So
this is
I
it.
enjoyed it.
When you haven't got that pressure on you, and you're not worried
Yeah,
about placing, and you're not, you're just there to have fun. It
yeah,
doesn't matter. It's all
yeah.
part of it. So yeah.
So that's what like these three here, as you guys mentioned, I will be watching them, and I wouldn't be surprised if these girls will actually smash it because the pressure's not there, you know. And then when you come like people like us, when you become a seasoned lifter, and then the pressure's there, like every single fucking training session you're doing, almost you're thinking, oh, if you are tired to finish your session, you're thinking, oh, if right now I don't finish my session, but Anna's done his session in 45 minutes. Oh fuck it, I need to finish this shit. So do you know what I mean? So don't worry, guys. My competitors, all of them, they live in my head. Trust me, I think about them every day. So yeah, that's the pressure sometimes you get. Moving on to the 57 guys, we have got two ladies there again nominated. We have got Rona and Katie, both nominated 12 and 14th. Rona is nominated with 330 and Katie it's 327 and a half. Although these must sound like 330, 327 in terms of like if you look at the other nominations, I mean from let's just say from anyone who's nominated 8th all the way to 14, everyone is reachable except of course the Leah who is from University of France. Why am I not surprised? Nominated with 407.5 kilo, quite ahead of everybody else. But any insight, guys, in terms of like how our ladies' performance going? I mean, training, leading to this.
Go on then.
I honestly don't know. I'm not handling either of them. I don't follow either of them. I don't know them. Dan might know more than what I do on this one.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, again, it's the same story as the girls above. These girls have both done 2 comps. They've both done a qualifier, gone to Bucks, come, I want to say first and second respectively. I might be wrong.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, that was it because there was Amelia Fox who ended up going to the juniors, and
Yeah, we had the
there
juniors,
was,
didn't we?
yeah, and then there was another girl who I believe was too old to be she was outside that kind of 18 to 25 bracket, so it fell to these guys who were third and fourth. But yeah, again, like they've done 2 comps each, so a fairly similar sort of story looking through like how we've just covered it. But it's going to be such invaluable experience to them, you know. And I think if they then go from that and do however they place, however the day goes, if they can
Mhm.
then turn up to juniors next year and try and have a run at the juniors, all of a sudden turning
Mhm.
up to Gymshark for juniors seems a hell of a lot less scary than it otherwise probably would have done, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's going to set them up really nicely. And because they're so new into it and things like that, these are really like good early lessons to learn about how to compete, the standards, the travel, all of that, all of these intangible things that you can't pick up competing locally. You know, they're going to get that really early on in their lifting career, and I think it's going to help them out loads moving forward.
That's a massive help. That's something you can't buy. You know what I mean? Something probably. I hope they'll learn from these experience. What I'm saying, this experience they'll learn from it is, you know, sometimes because especially some of them here are nominated second and third. As I said, they might win, right? So learning from the experience doesn't just mean like, oh, because I won, I don't need to learn from it. No, you can learn a lot from it as well. So as you said, like it's that these opportunities coming on early on in their lifting career is just like some of us never had that. You know what I mean? Some of us we had to ask some coaches in the country, was like, what can I do to get in a British team? They look at me thinking, man, don't worry, you're never gonna get in a British team. So focus on the formation. Anyway, where we are today. Apparently, someone is number 1 in the country. So anyway, moving on to the 63. So to the 63 guys. So again, here we have got 2 nominations here, which is Yasmin nominated 4th with 393, and Olivia nominated 6th with 373. Again, person nominated first. Who else? French, 450.
Yeah,
At the moment,
boring. It's boring.
at this point, no offense to everybody, at this point, I'm thinking that French just go every single lifter that came maybe second or third in the other team that they can't get to the normal team, and they say, okay, guys, let's put it in the university so King of the Lift can say French go shooters. Anyway, move on to that, guys. How's our ladies training going leading to this? Because again, good places to be nominated, not too bad. I mean, Yasmin nominated 4th, and Olivia's nominated 6th out of 17 lifters. That's chunky.
Yeah. I mean, I know about Olivia just because I'm handling her. I know she had a little bit of like a hamstring injury going on. I think she's managing it. It seems to be getting better. She should be sort of good to go on the day. But Liv she's just a massive squatter. Like the squat is where she makes her kilos up and you know where she kind of really thrives. So I think if you can get that in, you know, and another thing for these lifters as well that they're probably not going to have had before is individual medals. You know, like it's very feasible that she might kind of push for a squat silver, a squat bronze, things like that that they haven't had to think of before. And that's a really nice thing to come away from these comps with. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see where she goes. Hopefully, her hamstring heals up nicely, and she can sort of crack on and kind of challenge, especially for a squat medal, and just be up around that top 5.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she's looking strong. It's going to be good. I know you're handling Yaz, aren't you, Lewis?
Yeah, so Yaz, I think, is cutting a little bit of weight into this one, but I think she's kind of got that under control. But she sent me across her training videos, and all the numbers she's been hitting are, I won't say too much about them, but they're above what she's nominated at. So, and she's one that'd be looking at a bench medal as well, because she's nominated with 93 kilos, which is the biggest bench in the weight class. And the other 2, like, even though they're 92.5, Yaz is a really strong bencher. I think she's benched 100 since, I'm not sure, maybe 97.5, which is still a massive bench for a 63 lifter. And I know her deadlift has gone up, and I know her squat has gone up as well. So she will be in the running for the podium for sure. But again, like Dan said, there's another one of these lifters who are in contention for sort of these individual medal placings, which they haven't really had that before at like national or regional level. You don't get individual medals. So for them, it's going to be like another thing to look at the overall picture and the individual medals, which is actually the same for some of the girls in the 57s as well, because they've got some big deadlifts in comparison. Even though they're nominated really low, like their deadlifts are quite high up in terms of individual medaling. So yeah, both looking really strong. So that'll be quite an interesting one to watch.
Yeah,
that's one thing. Go on.
I was just going to say, like Yaz has done some. I think she's done 2 bench only worlds, I want to say, or a bench worlds and a bench Euros and things like that. So she's gonna have a bit more kind of confidence in how it's all going to set up and run. And it's not completely alien to her, but obviously doing it 3 lift now instead of bench only. So it's nice to have given her that opportunity to then compete full power internationally as well.
I think one of the things I just wanted to emphasize here, what you do, I think you touched on this one as well, in terms of like these guys, these ladies are going to these championships, even the men that we covered earlier. Although some of the people are nominated at half or bottom half or whatever, but the individual medal are an incentive to them as well. So this is why these international are so important here for us as lifters, because you go to nationals, national you get 1 medal, you got a participation medal and you get a trophy, right? Nobody cares about participation medal anyway, so you get a trophy. That's it. Even if like you have an amazing squat, you have an amazing bench like loose, you have an amazing deadlift, but you can't get nothing from it. Do you know what I mean? But here, you can walk away with something from your amazing deadlift, your amazing squat, and your amazing bench press. Again, I think that's another experience. I think these guys should literally like look into that and think, you know what? Let me enjoy the timing. I'll go a medal in a lift. So you don't get that anywhere else. So that's something I would just wanted to highlight. Guys, moving on the with the 69 again, we have got 2 nominations there. We have got Leo nominated 5th with 417.5, and Sharon there nominated 7th with 405.5 kilo. Again, as always, the French lifter is nominated first. Okay, this is a trend now. Anyway, I'll stop there. Let's move on to the ladies, guys. Our ladies, how are they looking leading to this?
Yeah, so Sharon was with us last year in Turkey, so she is going to know the score. It's her first. I believe it's her last year, so she'll kind of age out of that university bracket after this one. So she's going to want to go for it. She's going to want to, really kind of put everything into this, try and place up as high as we can. Leo in 5th so I'm handling her. I've seen a decent chunk of her training, and she looks very, very strong at the minute. I think she might take a few people by surprise on the day. And just for just kind of overall context of it all, so the girl who's nominated in 3rd, the Lithuanian Ramun, I don't know how I pronounce that right. That is like the fakest of fake totals ever, 425. So she has totaled like well over 500. She totaled over 500 Euros in Poland the year just gone. She has had, she was there last year as well. She's had world junior squat record, world junior total record at one point. So I think at least in this one, the French will probably have a bit of trouble with her. So makes a change.
Hold on. You saying the girl that is nominated in 3rd has totaled well over 500 kilos?
Yeah, she totaled 507 at Euros. The Euros just gone last year.
Lord Christ. And then the nomination here is 425.
Yeah, so I don't know if she's injured or if that's just whatever she just did to qualify for the comp or whatever, but on a day she's totaling over 500 and she's like blowing everyone out of the water here.
Jesus, 500 as a 69, that's some of the that's a chunky total there. That's a world-class total right there.
Her last comp have all been at 500 or more. So
so that last competition where she did 507.5 in Poland was a total record. Only then gone and beaten by Clarke like later on. So like that's the caliber of lifter we're talking about here. Like Clarke had to beat her.
Jesus Christ! Because I'm sitting here. I was looking at the nomination. I thought, we might walk away with a bench gold. But if she's talking 500, that means she has to go a chunky bench. So but anything can happen on that day. So I have confidence on our girls anyway.
Yeah.
Cool. Moving on to the 76 again, guys. We have got two ladies nominated there. Ashley nominated third with 433, and also we have got Odette, who is nominated fourth with 430. Don't be surprised. Why did I get that name right? Because that's a French name. Right. So I won't ask you guys to pronounce the name, right? Just call her who you guys like.
It's all right.
Yeah.
I coach Odette. I've coached Odette for a couple of years, so I'm comfortable with that, mate. It's fine. But she's looking really strong. So
Lou probably thinking, oh, thank Dan, you just saved me right there.
Yeah, literally. Wow.
Go on, Dan.
So yeah, these two girls went like properly head to head at Bucks. It was very, very close, and it's going to be very exciting to see them go at it again. Both of their training looks really good. Obviously, I know exactly what Odette is doing, and I won't give it all away, but she's looking very strong. But from what I can see from Ashley's training on Instagram as well, she's looking like she's doing like equally as well. And her deadlift is massive. And it's going to be that real classic thing of massive bencher versus massive deadlifter, and who can, it's they squat around the same ish, actually maybe a little bit more. Odette outbenches her by a lot, but Ashley outpulls her by a lot. And it's that whole thing of, can Odette push that deadlift too far? Is it within her range? It's going to be really interesting. But it's that real classic subtotal versus deadlifter battle kind of thing.
Yeah, and again, right, when you think about the nomination in this weight class, this is probably the first so far. There's no French. There is a Dutch there, which is, thank God. So, I mean, 442, she's nominated 442. And then we have got our two girls that are nominated 433.5 and 430. I mean, you can't write them off in terms of even taking everything away from everybody else. Do you know what I mean? Because with a 196 deadlift, I mean, that's a weapon right there. That is a weapon. That probably have to be me not to feel and as a weapon, but that is a weapon. So that's a weapon right there.
Crop that out, please.
Cool. Interesting thing there. Yeah. Guys, moving on to the 84, we have got the under 84, that's what I mean. We have got Samantha leading the pack with a 430 kilo total there. I'm sure probably will say only great things about it in terms of everything is moving. And if you see the gap between Samantha and the young lady from India, she's nominated with 377.5. That's a big gap. That's a massive gap.
So what I didn't realize, go on.
Oh, you go, mate. It's fine.
I was just going to say, what I didn't realize about Sam was, like, looking back. So she's done the Uni World. She did Uni World in 2018, which is one that me and you did, Lou. So she's kind of somehow captured our generation and is now also still here. I think she's a medical student, I want to say. I might be wrong. So sorry if I'm wrong. But so she's kind of obviously at uni for longer and has been around a while. She's competed on a British juniors team in 2021 at the Swedish Euros, like that kind of first one post-COVID, I want to say. So she's kind of, pretty internationally experienced. I know Will Brown is handling her on the day because they train in the same gym and they know each other very well. So I think they are kind of good to go, really. But it's interesting to have someone who competed in 2018 when me and Lou were competing, still here competing at the Uni Worlds 5 years later. It kind of gone a bit full circle.
But she's still got another 2 years as well. So if she's at uni for a longer time, she could be doing this till 2025.
Yeah,
that's interesting. That's really interesting. I mean, that's really good to see like people stuck around there, because again, as you said, there's a lot of people that come in, they get our first year international experience, second year international experience at university just think they get bored. Because again, powerlifting is a boring sport. I mean, us, we're still doing it because we just love it. And we ain't got no life anyway. So anyway, moving on to the 84 plus, and there is four people in that flight. We have got Caitlin Davis nominated third with 437.5, and also Laura Itfa nominated fourth with 407.5 kilos. Any insight on these two guys?
So I know Caitlin. I don't know if you remember this, Jurins, but at Bucks last year, she actually under her second squat broke her arm during the squat.
Oh yeah.
So that's Caitlin. So she kind of came back from that the year prior. Obviously, had her arm fixed, rehabbed it, came back to Bucks the following year, and has qualified, got herself on the team here, nominated in third, which is, good on her. It's a night, we all love a comeback story of like that, and I was at the venue when it happened, and you heard it. It was not pleasant. So fair play to her for kind of coming back and she's going to get her first sort of shot at an IPF platform.
That's incredible, man. These are the people probably I should be getting on the podcast to just come and tell the story, because I mean, people don't understand when it comes to fracture, especially when you break your bones in the sports and you come back under the bar. You're just thinking like, what about if it happened again? Almost like that the strength mentally, the strength this girl has, nobody can understand that. You know what I mean? For you to go through that and come back and compete and get yourself in the world team, it's just incredible. Oh, Mo, you turned up after what, 2 years? Jesus Christ! He's been walking or something.
We can tell him what we were saying earlier.
Oh, we will. I think he went on Lewis' history and checked Lewis that Lewis has been dominating him for quite some time. That's why he didn't join the call. So, Mo, you didn't tell me that Lewis beat you a few times, mate.
Give me 2 seconds. Let me join properly with my headphones.
Oh yeah.
I remember a random competition as a fresh university lifter where someone got lucky, and I believe it was maybe my first 105 competition. Maybe, I'm not sure.
Get your headphone on. Bro.
I'll give you some context, Mo. I'll give you some context. So I think should we finish the 84 pluses first, and then we'll do this?
Yeah. So I'm saying they just for what she went through, going back to Caitlin, what she went through, getting injured, coming back to the sport, and getting herself strong and getting herself on an international team. To me, that's that. No matter how many world championship or medal this girl win, nothing will beat that.
What's interesting as well is that same year she went to Commonwealths. So she
the same year she broke her arm, she went to the Commonwealth.
Yeah, so that same year she went to New Zealand and competed in the Commonwealths.
Man, that's incredible. That's incredible. The only reason I'm talking like this with a little bit with passion behind it, because I broke my arm, my elbow before, right? In terms of when I was young, I was playing football and all of that, smashed 35 pieces, and what I do today, if you go back to my physio when I was young, it said that Jurins can bench. I know people know that I can't bench much, but probably I can bench more than Dan. But if you tell people that Jurins can bench 177 kilos, my physio will be like, shut the fuck up. He wouldn't even be able to bench 100 because of what happened, because he witnessed what happened and he's the one that treated me. But yeah, I get what I'm saying. Stories like this, guys, it's probably the stories you guys should be using with your younger lifters, how mentally resilient some people can be. So to me, that's great. Fantastic. Yeah, that concludes the spotlights for our lifters. Again, as I said, I didn't want to do this as a preview for the university, but it was more about the spotlight on our lifters that are going to the university championship. You've given me so much insight in terms of the structure, the way it's structured, and the way people are getting qualified and to get to these teams, and also the way the teams are being run across the board. Only last question on that, on the championship itself before we move on. Do you guys get support from British powerlifting? What I mean, you guys, I'm talking about the head coach and the assistant. Like every other teams are getting support.
Yeah, so it's treated the same as any other sort of British powerlifting team. So I don't know if people know much about how this goes down, but essentially the head coach gets a flat fee of 250 quid. So that's just, regardless for you having your role, 250 quid. And now since the AGM and since the hotel rule got passed through, I will get a single, essentially the rate of a single room for the entirety of the trip. I'll get covered. The guys who are coaches like Lewis Paper Mahin, who are under like the coach banner, they get paid £125 each for their time. And then the assistant coach,
what?
No, that's the whole thing.
Oh, that's poor. But anyway, carry on.
Oh, mate, honestly, yeah.
I didn't even know we got that, to be honest.
Yeah, but and then the assistant coaches get nothing. It's you're there for experience and there for fun. So that is kind of the setup. That's not just for us. That's across the board. That's the team that goes out to juniors, the team that goes out to worlds in the open team, the masters, etc., etc. That's how it is across the board. So 250 quid might sound all right, but when I think of the admin time that's gone into this, I promise you it's less than minimum wage. And that's before you've even spoken flights and all of that stuff. So, we do it because we enjoy it, not because we're getting a good deal from it. But that's kind of the standard for all the teams across the board.
I think that's really, to me, that's key. What you just said there, like, you do it because you love it. You don't do it because of the support you get. The reason I opened this conversation on this one is for, especially you guys are taking a lot of young lifters to these international. A lot of people don't understand. This is a volunteer job you're doing. You're giving your timing on this. And these young people you're taking, all they have to understand, they have to respect to the people that are looking after them. The reason I'm saying this is because I've seen these youngers that lifted last year, the ones that lifted this year. Some of them, they go there. You had a bad day. Instead of just owning that bad day, and then you start blaming everybody else around you. To me, that's not fair. Do you know what I mean? And I wanted you to tell me in terms of the support, so people can see that, oh, these guys actually don't get shit. So they're there being our bitches, but we're giving them a hard time after. No. Do you know what I mean? This should stop. People should respect people because this is actually a volunteer job. And anyway, I'll stop ranting. Moving on I know you joined in 2 years later because your Majid airline have some issues. So I know you probably have got some questions, mate. I will open the floor for you. I'll give you 10 minutes before I close up.
No, it's perfect. I normally have to walk everywhere I need to get to. So it takes me a while, unfortunately. But very good question. Massive appreciation. It's very nice to hear you break down the cost that goes into international competition and you going as a head coach, what you actually only get back from the Federation. Because a lot of people don't realize that this is a volunteer sport. Like a lot of people are taking a lot of time out of their day. A lot of people are taking a lot of time and cost coming to this international competitions to support the athletes. So I just want to say, honestly, questions-wise, I would just want you guys to have fun on that platform. Dan Newby heading this team, which looks amazing. So smash it, man. Have some fun. We've got a lot of university lifters. Like I've had the opportunity to work with some universities now. Like I've done something with Newcastle. I've done, not Northumbria. I know Lewis is old stomping grounds, but I've also done Durham. And there are a lot of very, very excited university lifters. And I just want them to realize this is an international competition. Have fun, enjoy it, and don't fall under the pressure because, it tends to happen. So that's it for me, boys.
Thanks, man. Guys, that's coming from someone that is very elite in our country, even though he's always beaten a few times by Lewis. But take that advice, guys.
I'll give you the context, Mo. So before tonight before coming on, I was like, all right, let's have a little look, because I was like, I know there's a lot of there's some GB lifters now that came through doing bucks, came through the uni system. I know there's you, Pape. I know Benji Wharton did a few. I'm missing people definitely. And I was like, obviously Mo is right up there, but I was like, I'm sure he didn't like win his first one or first couple. I'm sure he didn't. So I go back and have a look. And it's like
Oh no,
2017,
I got my ass whooped.
2018.
I got my ass
2017, 2018. And I'm like, oh,
whooped
he's come like 10th. I was like, who was
for a
ninth?
long
Oh,
time.
fuck, it's Lewis. I was like, Lewis has beaten him by 1 place 2 years on the bounce. And I'm like, what are the odds of that?
So if I open that kind of worm, we'll carry on until midnight. So Lewis, what the fuck happened?
Life happened, mate. Fucking life.
So I mean, Jesus Christ. Anyway, guys, on that note, guys, it was wonderful, guys. Almost 2 weeks, almost covered 2 hours. So any last thoughts, guys, from your side in terms of like everybody else? Again, as I said to you too in the beginning, as I said, we know BACS exists. We know the University Powerlifting Championship exists, but it's not really highlighted as much as we would like it to be highlighted. Because again, as I said, this is the team that's feeding to our juniors. And then some of these guys, they are open, right? I'm talking about 24 plus. It means they have the potential to feed to the open team too, right? And there's not enough spotlight on them. So again, any last word from your side, Dan and Luis, so can call us off.
No, mate, I just cheers for having us on. I think it's been good to kind of highlight it, get it out there, and just sort of give people a bit more of an understanding as to how it runs, what we're looking to do, you kind of what the goal is, and some of the people that are going to be lifting for us, because they're on Team GB and they deserve that kind of they deserve that bit of a spotlight. So yeah, just cheers for giving us the platform and taking the time for us to do it.
Thanks, right? Lou, yourself, anything apart from beating more, of course.
I think it's the best thing to come out of this podcast, finding that bit out. No, I just echoing what Dan said, mate. To be honest, I think it's good to highlight the sort of the university lifting and university standards, because I think it's not really thought of as like a proper national. So it's kind of nice to give them that platform and that sort of stage to go on and lift that, because like we were saying before, people like Mo, Pape, Benji, all these lifters have done it and they've risen up the ranks, and now they're on Team GB in the Open. So there's no reason why these lifters who are going now can't be at that stage in the future. So it's just good experience for them to all to get, and I just think we kind of need to sort of showcase that a little bit more. The kind of the standard now we're bringing as more like a structure to the team and to the lifters going to these international competitions.
Mm-hmm. Great, fantastic. And to everyone who are listening or watching us, guys, literally, I will invite you guys to send us any feedbacks, comment you have. I really want to put a highlight in these championships in terms of like in our nations, because I saw some of the names and some of the stories I heard is incredible. And if you want to be part of jumping on the podcast with us and tell us your story as part of the university student or any university team, look, I'm more than welcome to host you guys. Just hit me up, send me a message on Sabado or my personal Instagram, or even hit out to Mo. We can organize that going. So on that note, guys, all the guys that are lifting at the university, I wish you luck, guys. Have fun, enjoy it. Don't worry about breaking records. Don't worry about winning. Just have fun, right? Whatever Dan want to tell you, oh, I want you to win team point. Fuck Dan. Just have fun, right? On that note, I'll speak to you guys soon.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate.